me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I'm just going to do a visual attendance here. Just trying to see who we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, and John has sent his regrets, so I think we're ready to go. Okay. Wendy, did you get that attendance?
Say what?
Did you get attendance? I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
At 8:02.
That's always easy.
Yeah, we have everybody except John who is ill and he's unable. He's going to try to watch the video before our or the recording before our next meeting. Okie doke. Okay, I have the detailed agenda in front of me, and the first thing is review of the meeting May 2nd meeting minutes. I had no comments. They look great, Wendy. Anybody else have comments that they didn't send to Wendy already?
I found a couple of typos, but I'll fix those. But
Okay, Anne Marie.
I just had a comment. I reviewed the I always review the video afterwards, and in the section 4A I2, I recognize, Bob, that you used the word pigeonhole, but stonewall by the town hall should be stricken because that was not what was said, and the pigeonhole was directed to the select board and not town hall.
Okay, I'll agree to that change.
okay, so how would you like to?
I just would, Bob had expressed to Bob expressed to the select board the committee's objective to having been pigeonholed on matters of concern. I would direct it to the select board and then take out in stonewall by town hall. And after the word pigeonhole, just on matters of concern.
Okay, I would agree to that. This is a matter
Okay,
that's going to come up on our June 4th meeting. So
Okay, so we're not expressing objections.
No, you're expressing objections. I would just say, Mr. Dwyer asked Mrs. Strunian to formally express our objections to the select board.
I
Okay,
think it's just a matter of making sure the wording exactly matches what he said at the time, given that it's minutes. That's all this is.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. It has to reflect what was said in the meeting.
Because
okay,
it was
so
directed to the select board. So I want to make sure that gets in there, Wendy.
okay, I'm just trying to make a complete sentence out of this.
Okay, so
Just stand by. That would be this. Everybody see that?
yeah,
Okay. Formally express our objections to the select board regarding what?
well, regarding seas tax being pigeonholed on
Yeah, I
matters
got
of
that.
concern.
That's
Where'd
I
you put
took out
that?
those words.
No, but
regarding-
keep those in because that was said. For regarding CTAC being pigeonholed
Okay. Okay.
on matters of concern, just
Eliminate
take out by
by
town hall.
Oh, by town hall. On
On
matters of
matters, there.
concern.
There we
That
go.
it?
Yes.
Everybody good with that?
I am. I'm the one who said it.
Okay. And I believe you did use the word stonewalled, but
No, I just reviewed the video this morning.
oh, okay. Okie dokie. Okay, done. I will save that.
Thank you.
and Get that out.
Okay, any other changes? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll make a motion.
Thank
to
you, Tony.
approve.
A second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, Jed seconds. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? No. Okay, very
Got
good.
it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Anne Marie, are there any public comments that have come in?
No, just the email that was forwarded to you and myself regarding the PowerPoint that Cape Cod Commission presented at our last select board meeting. That was the only correspondence I received.
Okay, and everybody saw I forwarded that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, the next is, I want to start going through the old business, and I think the first is, just a review of what went on at the select board meeting, the other night. Jed, Wendy, and I were all in attendance, as well as, of course, Anne Marie. Did any of you others have any, were you able to review the slides or the comments at all? I'm gonna put up, actually, let me find it. I'll put up the,
Looked at the slides, but I didn't see comments or anything else happen in the meeting.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't either.
okay, again, they were at the front end of the packet at least, because it wasn't really visible too much on their slides. I had trouble seeing it. Was their response to each of the comments that came in. Most of them were our comments, and essentially they pretty much agreed to make most of the changes. The real discussion had to do with clarification of the legal definition of underserved, et cetera. So there was a good bit of discussion about that, and I think there was some clarification, and they're going to put that wording clarification in their change. The two comments at the front, one was it looked like, and this is my inference, a kind of a mass priorities devotee, for lack of a better term. Again, my inference, I don't know who the letter came from, saying that the town government should stay out of internet ownership management. I don't have the exact words here. If you give me a second, I will find it. I don't think. Letter outlining concern about government involvement in free market issues, concern about government control of internet access. And we did not see the letter. They had no comment other than to note that they received it. And the other one was a letter from Comcast outlining their services across Massachusetts and Barnstable County. Okay. I don't know exactly what that contained. It might be interesting curiosity to just find out what that says or promises. And the rest of the comments all had to do with the again, incorporation of these edits. They did a high-level overview for the select board. And to the extent that I've been able to read through the whole report, I think they did a pretty good job of covering it. They did note that there has been grant money earmarked for the town of Bourne. And what I asked is for them very specifically in their revisions, in their recommendations, to put in some very clear recommendations on what would be the town's responsibility, identifying items in terms of going forward for digital equity in a broad sense, including BEAD, including GAP network grants, et cetera, that identified steps that had to be taken by the town itself as opposed to potentially by other parties, and to prioritize those both in terms of time and effectiveness or benefits to town citizens. I don't know. I don't remember the words I actually used. And they said they were going to go forward and they would do that. Anne-Marie, I did not hear when they expected to get that revision back, but the revision, which then presumably would be quickly approved by MBI, that then triggers the access to the other grants. Do they?
Correct. I believe Mary Jane requested that it be done, in an
Timely.
amount of time that obviously we can have that window to apply
Right.
because the MBI is very aggressive. I don't foresee, given that even the preliminary digital equity plan certainly has been accepted because we're, being able to go after some funds already.
Mhm.
So I think that's a matter of, select board getting it back on the agenda and accepting the plan and setting the priorities.
Do you?
So I mean, it's an aggressive timeline for the bee challenge too. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more aggressive actually than the long timeline that they outlined to Marlene for application for the 70K and maybe the
Right, for the
supplemental 30K.
$100,000 grants, yeah.
Yeah, that stretches into
And
2025.
and that's a conversation, obviously, we're going to stress at today's workshop.
Okay,
It's an important conversation. That
Yep.
capacity I talked about at the select board meeting
Yeah,
and the resources.
I'm sorry. I thought that the presentation was pretty pro forma, and like Bob, I saw a real paucity of detail. It was all a lot of generalities. Because on which almost no one could disagree. So, I wasn't that impressed, but I don't know how long it will take to get specifics in there, added, approved, and incorporated.
Mike, again, I think they would get the thing turned around as fast as they can. Frankly, because this is essentially a model that they could use for the two other towns that have this started already. I'm
Yeah.
sure the needs aren't going to be that different. They're just going to be differences in detail and quantity. All of David Still's wonderful demographics up at the front, I think, are highly useful in a general sense for any town, and even going beyond internet access and lack of internet awareness or lack of hardware. But I think Wendy, you pointed out at the meeting, I think that all the other parts of digital access all completely depend on
Having broadband.
reliable and affordable broadband. So if you don't have that, then ignore everything else because nothing else works. Anyway, again, I pointed out, I said we need a prioritization of the next steps, what their recommendations are, and especially anything that requires town action or town approval, and only the town can do it, needs to be called out very explicitly. So there's no ambiguity about to the select board about what must be done by the town or what could be deferred to somebody else. And one brief example I pointed out in the hallway afterwards, after we left the meeting with the Cape Cod Commission people, is that the what is it called, Brian? Residential retrofit.
Yes.
That's something that's other than identifying the eligible properties, that's completely in the ballpark of the companies.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing we can do other than encourage them. Routes we've already identified might be profitable.
Yeah.
That one is squarely written, and that only existing ISPs can apply for that.
Right. And clearly, at least in terms of my communication with Ellen Cummings, to which I never got any kind of a response, either they're verbally or written. I pointed out exactly where the 4 units are in Bourne, and the fact that 3 of them are adjacent to the properties that adjacent to lines that they're now either have in place or are working on, and that the other one is an easy run for not a lot of money up from the south end of Bourne. That hint, it might open up big areas of Bourne to connection to FiOS if they decide to come in that way. But no response from them. And Anne Marie, did you hear anything other than yes, we heard you from Open Cape at all on that?
So Open Cape doesn't do residential. I don't know that because of the way they're set up, that they don't know because of the way they're set up, they're more oriented to business. If they did qualify, if it was worth going for it, because they may not meet all the qualifications. So that was a question that was being asked by Open Cape in regard to this specific to this grant. I don't have the answer to that, but that was a question.
Wendy and I spoke with the woman who is, I guess she's the Open Cape operations manager, and at the legislative meeting on Friday morning. Wendy, do you remember her name off the top of your head? I don't have her card handy, but anyway, and
I have it in my notes, I think. So
anyway, I pointed out again that Open Cape has runs that go adjacent or very near to these MDUs, and you know, an MDU is probably not a whole lot different from trying to go and provide service to a building or into a building, and they probably had the capability to do it, and frankly, somebody else would pay for it. And
Yeah.
I got nodding agreement, but nothing beyond that. So we'll see what
Right.
happens.
Right.
I think so. The portraying MBI or portraying Open Cape as not doing any residential might be inaccurate, because I think they have one MDU set up, and so MDUs are a little different.
yeah, in
A little bit
Hyannis,
different
yeah.
than regular residential, because you send a connection in there, you put a splitter in, and then you run it to all the units, so it's a little bit more reliable. It's a little bit of a different beast. So
Right.
sometimes they lump large MDU in under enterprise services in a lot of these companies. So I think
Right,
they
for
qualify.
multi-dwelling unit, but for multi-dwelling units, I think by
Yeah,
default,
yeah.
right, it happens to
But not
be
for like a single
residential
house
up
and all
above.
that.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I
so
think
given
their business model is for business only.
Yeah, I think they only
well,
have
they only got to go to
one.
one place. It's
Yeah.
and you're wired to each unit. And you literally have a splitter in the building, and it's hardwired by them. They don't really have any more things to go wrong. So the economics are a little different on an MDU,
Right.
a big one especially.
And I
Well,
think that's why they don't know the answer of whether, to go through the process of applying for this funding and not be eligible, because they're not looking at MDUs, they're just looking at,
If
you know,
Open Cape is not eligible, I would scream from the rooftops that the grant rules were written so poorly that it was an oversight, I would argue, because they already provide services to small businesses. It's similar hardware. They're not far outside their footprint. It's 100% paid for. They've got the technical abilities. The fact that they don't do every house along the way right now, I don't think that should be. But based on what I read in the grant rules, I don't think that should stop them. So
okay.
and
Okay.
if it does,
And
I would
I'll
scream
relay
only
that then. I'll relay that then.
Yeah, because MBI says they're trying to be more approachable and not make grant rules that are terrible, so they keep doing it. But if we detect that a perfectly good applicant is not able to apply because the intent is to fix these parcels, that's the conversation we need to have with MBI. They're like, maybe you wrote the rules too tight, and you need to amend them for everybody so that like an Open Cape can come in and do this, because your goal is universal service, and especially targeting these underprivileged is the wrong word for it, but under resourced,
Underserved. Yeah. and
underserved
Yeah.
people. And if you're trying to do that, you need to make the rules so that the people that can do the job qualify.
Yeah. Anne Marie, if Open Cape is there today, or even maybe if MBI is there on the phone at this workshop that that SciTac is locked out of, please make that point, and just and again, we'll get you the name of that woman. Again, I'll have to go
Okay.
over to my desk to
Yeah,
find
I
that.
don't have it. I'm sorry. I thought I did.
Just text it to me, Bob.
Right. Who knows who could be there? It could be Kevin Tremblay or any of the other Open Cape folks, but just say this is low-hanging fruit and it pays, it's 100% paid for. And it could be a learning experience for them, and they'll basically MBI is going to pay the cost of whatever it is.
They can't lose money on this deal, so just put an engineering proposal for what it physically costs you and send it to the state and get the money and do it. 100% paid for, and then revenue is all profit. So
Okay.
Barring some backhaul costs and all that, and like a little bit of billing software and stuff, but essentially it's all your capital costs are covered.
Okay, we've kind of segued into item for AII, the workshop this afternoon. Does anyone else have any other kind of requests or frankly charges to Anne Marie? Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Brian, I just want to clarify and pick your brain a little bit about what you said last meeting with respects to, and I reiterated it a little bit at the select board meeting in front of the Cape Cod Commission. So with the whole BEAD process and looking at regionally and the Cape Cod Commission taking charge with respects to providing the resource and the capacity to for the BEAD challenge process. Am I correct in saying that? That's a big issue.
I would love to have them step in and play a big role, but they've not come out and said what that role is going to be. And so need to move forward with what we got, which is the state literally dropped a lot of most of the files we needed in the last 2 days. So they've released their
I did
finalized
see that.
challenge stuff.
But
it's a
still,
mess, for sure.
yeah, but still, you know, if we're fine through this process that regionally everybody
Unknown
has,
caller.
right? Everybody, obviously, every town on the Cape has an issue, right? Every town on the Cape is going to have this digital equity plan. My point is each municipality, it's very difficult to have the capacity and the resources to even challenge, right? To even go through the challenge.
Mhm.
If regionally everybody has that issue, that problem, then that's huge. That's something the Cape Cod Commission should realize and perhaps play a more active role for the municipalities in that process, or even provide the necessary resources.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just working with what I've got right now, which is
Oh, no,
yeah.
I briefly started looking at, the challenge as well yesterday. As a matter of fact, I've been out of town up until Monday night, so I'm playing catch up, but,
Yeah.
so.
I've already asked MBI for a direct introduction to the consultants that they've hired. You know, however limited the resources are, we're trying to get the intro as fast as possible so we can at least start trying to access what they've got. If the Cape Cod Commission has resources, by all means, would be embraced with open arms. I don't think anyone's going to have enough resources, so the more the merrier.
Anne Marie, it'd be in a perfect world, just in terms of assistance, not even taking control of this. It would be great if the Cape Cod Commission could come up with some kind of a communication or a template for communications that we or the town or somebody could send out to our citizens, you know, through an article in the Enterprise or through the residents' Facebook page, to just provide awareness of what this challenge is and what the value is, and then start to solicit volunteers of people who want to do that. And then if we can get the volunteers to come in very quickly, we can then individually by the towns look at the maps or the census block groups. Have I got that right, Brian? And
Something like that.
we need at least 6 willing testers in each one of these groups. And you know, from our point of view, ideally people who know they have frequent problems, because you heard it, somebody's got to sit next to their modem, plug their computer in with an Ethernet cable, and then run the test once for 3 days. Then after that, they've got to find their bill, they've got to take the test data, and somehow through some kind of a non-existent secure website, they've got to upload it to MBI. And it'd be wonderful if the commission
No,
could...
they have to upload it to us, and we send it to MBI. But we can't use email because a name plus a financial account number is private info in Mass. So that's a $5,000 penalty. So we need a secure portal. That's actually something I'm going back and forth with MBI right now. They haven't finalized the software contract. They're trying to withhold it. I'm like, just give me the draft even so that I can see if you've got the tool in place, or, you know, we're going to have to go find whatever contract the town already has with, you know, like a Dropbox or somebody or another for encrypted storage. So, let's email them back for that.
So
If-
again, go ahead, Jed, I'm sorry.
I was gonna get clarification on what it is that's can't be uploaded. What exactly is the data that you're not allowed to upload?
So the CMR 201-17. Don't ask why I know the law to the chapter and page, but it's a name plus an SSN number, a financial account number, or a driver's license or driver's license number is considered private information under the Mass Data Privacy Law.
But yeah,
If you
but I don't understand where this information comes into play here.
So we
Because
need
they
the
were,
Comcast
because they're
bill.
requiring it.
And
They-
MBI
they're
has
requiring
already
a
noted
driver's
it's
license
private
or
info.
what? They're requiring a driver's license or a social
No,
security number?
no, your
So
account,
just the name and the account number
So-
triggers the privacy law. Just those two pieces. And those are on the bill.
I'm looking at my bill. I don't know that there's an account number on the bill.
oh, there has to be.
Why?
Well, we should do some dry runs because data we start collecting now is valid, and we need to sort these details out
All right.
so that I'm not just like pulling the mass data privacy law and interpreting it without a license. MBI released in their beat final noted that this information is private info and won't be available to public records requests because it's PEI. So their lawyers have already aware of that. This
Well, I
information
see. I
is
guess it
sensitive.
depends on how you look at the bill. If you look at the PDF of the bill, there's an account number on the top.
Yeah,
The other thing about the bill, I was looking at today, it doesn't tell you what your upload speed is on the bill.
Hill
So
Surprise.
they just passed the nutrition label for broadband. They're supposed to have all fixed that in time for the challenge. I guess it's not happened.
I got an email from Comcast saying magically they've increased my download and my upload speeds, and my upload speed is now greater than 20. So let's presume that if you can find that email, that is sufficient.
I think
So
everybody,
if
I think
Comcast
everybody,
pick up the name of your package, right? It says like Performance Pro, blah. It's got a word title, correct?
what's that again, or what?
What you're
The
saying?
name
All
of
right,
plan.
but can we
Well,
just get back to the
yeah, let's-
May 16th?
Yeah, let's get
I
back to
just want to
that.
make sure I have my ducks in a row
Okay,
and I can, really aggressively strategize when I have those two entities in the room.
Anne Marie, it'd be wonderful if the commission would take the lead, at least for Barnstable County, to provide perhaps one site where these things could be uploaded and on behalf of the individual towns. I mean, you'll know what town a person is in by the name, address, and zip code, so that's easy
Right,
enough to
right.
figure out. But more to the point, that would be a place where we can identify where there are gaps, so that we can try to solicit people, frankly, to fill those gaps. I mean, it can't be that difficult to find 6 people in a census block. One would hope. But we shall see. My guess is you're going to have privacy advocates who are going to complain about this. And all we can do is forward those complaints on to MBI and say this is significantly hindered by your request for private information. There's going to be an easier way to do it. But Brian, go ahead.
Actually, go one step further and say we advocated that this requirement not be in the final version because of this, and Comcast would be able to securely provide that information on rebuttal. So there was zero need for this additional headache and risk. So, but I like the idea of having the commission open up a portal that's compliant. I can't see every single town on the state setting one of them up in, like, what do we got?
15
25
towns.
days having a secure portal up. I bet you the Cape Cod Commission already has the contract with a Dropbox or a Google or somebody for secure document storage and could probably stand up a site in very rapidly.
Brian, it just occurred to me that we don't have to upload this, or they don't have to upload information to us until after the end of the challenge period, July 20th, right?
No, we need it as ASAP because we'll start, like, as we've put together a census block group, we can put that challenge in. So,
But if people identify themselves beforehand, you mean just to try to see if we have a bunch of people and challenge immediately
Yeah.
even before?
yeah, because
Okay.
we could start putting the
guess.
challenges in on June 20. So the portal opens June 10. So we get our accounts, we get our login credentials and whatnot. We find out, 10 days before we need the info exactly what we have. Great
Gotcha.
timing.
Okay.
And yeah, I would start if we have bundled up enough, we need to start immediately because we might be going around banging on doors and plugging in computers and running speed tests because the consultant resources might be nothing.
Yeah, again,
nothing of help.
we don't know what we're going to get. The commission is going to be much more reliable and responsive assistant to us than whoever this consultant is. Anne Marie, circling back, once again, I think the commission is excellent at communicating with Cape Cod residents, and some kind of draft template of how we first approach residents and say, hey, we need your help, and this is your chance to remedy the problem you have by accessing the money that's being provided through the infrastructure, et cetera, federal grants, one time only. And if we could get them to draft that we could copy that and plaster the world with it in each of the towns. You're only going to have are there going to be other towns present than just the three who are doing the digital equity plans right now?
I believe the invite went out to all municipalities, the whole, the
fantastic.
whole region, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay,
Cape Cod.
that's good. Again, you're right. Regionality here, coming up with one solution to do this that's applicable to all 15 towns would make things so much easier, as opposed to each of us having to invent our own. And again, you know what horsepower you have sitting around this on our Hollywood Squares screen right now, compared to the other towns, except for perhaps Falmouth, don't have anywhere near this level of expertise. Jed, is that a fair assessment? I mean, there are small committees, kind of voluntary committees in Wellfleet, et cetera, but they're not at
Well,
nearly
I think the difference is the level of organization. I mean, I've run into some people with similar backgrounds to mine that live out in Brewster and Harwich, but they're not organized at all. They're just, they've shown up at some of those Cape Cod tech infrastructure meetings, for example, but like I said, they're not organized at the town level.
right. Okay.
I guess it's good we got organized in time because to even give a fighting chance at this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Anne Marie, you've got enough marching orders here. I think
I do.
you could talk
Yes.
for an hour. We clearly can talk for 2 hours about this. We do every couple of weeks. Okay. Again, we're going to move down. That's the 16th workshop, and that segues neatly into funding opportunities. And the first, again, we've been talking about the BEAD challenge here. And a couple of us have been going back and forth with a little bit of wording for what needs to be put out to the Bourne residents. And I don't think we need to get this out right away, but my ideas, and I sent this to Brian and Jed, our little subcommittee, is we need something that's at a very high level that just gives Bourne residents awareness of what the opportunity and the criticality of this is, and asking them to volunteer and give them an early heads up that we will have a secure portal where a couple of pieces of confidential information have to be uploaded to the state. And just give them a heads up, and we might as well put the lightning rod up right away and get the privacy advocates to start hammering us early, and we can answer their questions early as opposed to at the last minute and have them derail this thing. Jed, you look concerned.
Just
a little head shake there.
It just seems complicated.
No kidding.
It is.
You think they didn't do that on purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I'm just struggling with you know, how do we get people to do it? You know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, if we can get 6 of the people who are chronic complainers, shall we say, or people who have been advocating for this in the census blocks. And Brian, is it census block or census block group? I can't remember what the
I would have to go check, but the exact terminology, because it was not something that was initially intuitive to myself, but I think it was, was it 5 or 6 of them covered the whole town for like a census scale? I think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, that would be the census block group, which is good. So we need a 6 times 6 or 36 people to accomplish this, who have
We
to all do
probably
it.
want some extra ones
Of course.
in case they get disqualified on, BS technical stuff. So
Yeah, they had fingers crossed when they were uploading it or something. I'm sure NBI is going to be very willing to disqualify people quickly.
I put up on my screen the second draft of the the teaser info to go out, trying to distill it down. We're still figuring out exactly how this is going to go down. Did everyone see it?
yeah,
I should take out the 20th because we need people to know it's
Yeah, exactly.
it's faster than this. If they wait till then, it'd be kind of too late to give it to us because we have to have it. Then we got to submit it. So we probably need all of them in at least, by no later than the halfway point of the submission period.
Can you
so
say,
let's say,
before July 1 then?
What you know what?
As soon
What
as
I put down.
possible.
Yeah,
It-
as soon as possible is too nebulous. Give them a date.
how about after the 4th of July weekend?
By July 5th. Because some
Yeah.
people will be home for the holiday weekend and they'll have time to screw around with this.
Well, if they're bad, it doesn't matter when. So we need bad
Well, it
ones
does.
more than we need a date.
But don't forget, the 4th of July weekend or the weekends after the school gets out are the times that the service drops like a
worst.
stone. The congestion happens.
So it just needs to be bad speed tests on repeated days. So if we can get them, on other days, that's also okay. So I don't want to delay getting the data in because I think we need to be able to keep sending them and keep sending them and keep sending them until we start getting bad speed tests. The only card in our favor is we get to cherry pick, unlike Comcast, who has a set rules for rebuttal. So the more data, the sooner, the better. And if we can identify people that have recurring problems, we might be able to have a better shot at catching it. So I'm a little cautious about putting a date on this.
Brian, just put a hyphen there and we'll reword it. Hyphen, the more tests and the sooner the better, or something like that. Run by early July, the better.
Better.
Yeah,
Early July at
yeah,
latest.
that's just a note. We can polish that up.
Yeah, I can
But-
fix that.
Anne-Marie's got her hand up.
Anne-Marie, go ahead.
On the last one, number 3, should it say your Xfinity package from your latest bill? Should we comment something without personal account information
No,
or?
we need it. We need the rules say we need the bill. So we don't want them to white out anything in the bill and have them disqualified.
so just
Okay,
what you can do when you log into your account is you can print a PDF of your bill. That seems to be the simplest thing to do.
We should try this on all of our own computers and then maybe talk to MBI and make sure the format is correct so there's no gotchas or anything.
Yeah. Anyway, Anne Marie, if Brian sends you an email with this, can you kind of read this off in the meeting as something like what we maybe like the commission to think about Cape Wide?
Sure.
Does this look reasonable? I mean, again, this is you know, just a few emails
Yeah.
flying back and forth to come
Well,
up with it.
The whole and the whole idea of the workshop is to strategize, and this is a strategy, so.
Yeah.
So I have one question on number 2. So after they run the speed test, then what? What do they do? They're looking at the stuff on the screen. Do they make note of it of some kind?
That's a great question. I'm gonna have to pull the file because it just dropped, you know, in the last 48 hours. So I haven't spotted that one. I would guess it's a screenshot of the test because that's what all the past ones have been, but don't
Okay.
quote me on it until we find that.
So I'll just make a comment here that if you use Ookla, you can create a spreadsheet from multiple results. It includes the IP address of the server and all the details about your result.
So this is the actual. So I copied the text from the files. So it's Ookla, MLab, Cloudflare, Netflix, or the to be determined site from MBI. This cannot predate more than 60 days. 20. Each speed test must include time and date the speed test was conducted, provider assigned IP address. They didn't care if it was IPv4.
Identifying the residential gateway conducting the test? Come on. It's impossible.
I don't know
for
how to.
people-
I don't know how to meet that one.
No. That's
This is
ridiculous.
this is a problem with MBI. They have one technical person, and he's lovely. I enjoy talking to him, but they need like 10 of them. You know, they just don't have enough manpower to catch.
Right, so when you run a test, there's no way for Ookla to know. Or any of these speed test companies, they can't identify the residential gateway conducting the test. And it's actually not a residential gateway conducting the test, it's actually the computer. The software is running on the computer, not on the residential gateway.
Yeah, so the only way I guess you get the residential gateway is if you're running the test in the modem on Comcast
Right.
software within the modem, which is but you know, that's generally not how people run the speed test. They run it from the device. So
And let's move this along. Anne Marie, suffice it to say, if the people around this call can't figure out what MBI wants, and it looks too technically complex for us to figure out, it's going to be hopeless for residents to be compliant with this. And just point out, you know, we need more help in strategizing this when you talk with the folks today.
But we are so far behind the 8 ball on this because of MBI's delays. I mean, it's gonna, you want to set up a meeting with you know, some of the legislative people. Anne Marie's gonna go to this thing. How long is it gonna take for any of these things to be addressed by any of these completely competent and well-meaning people? You know, time's are wasted.
Anyway,
anyway,
so, I just want to
moving
point
forward.
out that if we were working with people, we have them create an Ookla account during this period. Every test they run gets recorded in their account, and at any point along the way, they can generate a spreadsheet that has everything in it except for the residential gateway info. I was able to do it myself.
You're not a typical user.
No,
Well,
but yeah, like I said, if we are able to get people, they create an account, that's all they're gonna create the account and just constantly run tests. And then they're basically gotta hit a couple of buttons to export a spreadsheet.
What we need to do, frankly, us or the commission or somebody, is like for Ookla, is go down and just do a video or something, a YouTube video with screenshot after screenshot after screenshot. Okay, click this, make it very simple. Don't leave any options for them to search around on a screen to find something. We have to handhold this all the way through to get this to work.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
you know, and again, we have to tell people in that blurb up above that, this may look complex, but we're going to provide detailed instructions on how to do all of this. That's all we want to do is give people confidence that they're not going to waste time or get frustrated.
This is an interesting requirement I just noticed. This is something for you to bring up with the commission. So this clause right here, it says each group of 3 speech tests must include an agreement using an online form provided by the eligible entity that grants access to these information elements to the eligible entity, any contractor supporting the challenge process of the service provider. That's better. The commission needs to produce that, or MPI has to produce that, or no one's doing a challenge in this state. No one's going to be able to get a legal document onto a web portal in 25 days.
Brian, again, send this whole package, the details below and the, you know, in the short blurb up above, to say somehow we need to be able to walk residents through this and we need the commission's help to do it, or this phantom consultant, whoever that may be.
So you want me to send it to Anne Marie, or you want me to send it to the commission, or how do you want me to?
No. Send this to Anne Marie, for use today at the meeting, at the strategy meeting that's going to go on.
You prefer Word document or Google Docs sent to you, Anne Marie?
Send it in Word, because, yeah, just send it in Word.
That's fine.
It'll be easier for me to open up. I'm just gonna have my iPad. I'm not lugging my big laptop.
Okay.
No
So,
problem. I got every conversion tool under the sun on this system, so.
all right.
Okay. Anyway, so Anne Marie, make it obvious if the commission wants to put a working group together to deal with some of these thorny technical issues. You know, you have willing volunteers sitting on this call, even though we weren't in the room today. Because I think it's going to devolve that everybody's going to say, now what do? We need help. And to the extent that commission staff can do this, they may need other help to take this down into these really, really thickly entwined weeds. It's very annoying. Anyway, you know, this is being set up for failure. That's my particular assessment of it, and we're going to do our best to try to get around that.
This is a feature, not a bug.
Okay.
I got more poignant thoughts on that. Yeah, that digital expertise.
You're singing to the choir here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know, let's save our time. We're 45 minutes into the meeting right now. The next is the American Connection Corps or Connectivity Corps. What is the deadline for that?
It's
Brian?
passed, but they were willing to be a little flexible, given that I warned them it's going to take a little while to get through the town's approval process. So, how soon can we get that rolling?
Anne Marie, when you get to, you might check with the other towns to see how they're using it or have applied for a connectivity corps. And I think the centerpiece of any town's application ought to be a request for MBI to waive the $35,000 co-payment, at least for the first year, just because they totally missed the town meeting budget cycle. There's no money for it. You know, and just complain that their whole process was focused more on the needs of other entities. I won't name them, but as opposed to the municipalities. Okay, my tongue is bleeding here. I'm biting it. We're on live TV here. Anyway, and I think we ought to make a request that the town consider the select board on the June 4 meeting approve applying for one of these positions on the condition that the $35,000 is waived. Would somebody like to make that motion and
Say that
we can-
again.
Okay,
Motion last week to go forward with this and request the grants. I think we already did all that on the last call.
yeah, I think we did too. I've got to look at the minute. Meeting, approve, applying for one of these positions on the condition that the $35,000 is waived. Would somebody like to make that motion and,
Say that
we can-
again.
Okay,
Motion last week to go forward with this and request the grants. I think we already did all that on the last call.
yeah, I think we did too. I've got to look at the minutes again. Okay. But Anne Marie, in any case, at the June 4 meeting, we are still on for the June 4 meeting with a broad ranging discussion about SciTac and
As far as I know, I've requested more than once
okay.
to be on the
Uh,
June.
But I think one important point is approval from the select board to apply for this position. Okay. And you know, I think that discussion with Marlene about where this person would sit at the right hand of the assistant town administrator. By the way, my understanding is that that Liz is out on leave right now. Is that true?
She's out on sick leave, yes.
Okay. So she won't be at your meeting today either. Okay.
She will not be.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bob, could you please give me the wording of your desired motion? Because I,
Again, I'm the chair. I can't make a motion, but move that the SciTac request the select board to apply for a position under the American, is it Connection or Connectivity Program?
connection, I think,
American Connection Corps, with
for the
the
purpose
provide
of,
for the purpose of assisting the town in applying for and managing any of these grants or implementing the digital equity plan. Or other needs as advised by SciTac to the select board and the town administrator.
Assuming that 35,000 is waived.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Assuming that MBI agrees to waive the $35,000 annual fee.
I'll move.
Jed moves that.
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion on that or cleaning up the wording? Getting rid of my run-ons?
Take an extra person, even if it's 30 hours a week and very junior. When we finally come up with long-term plans here, I think that'll be a good additional resource to have on hand.
Are they
especially
thinking
for these
about,
costs.
are they thinking about maybe having one person doing 30 hours a week for more than one town? Or
So
one
this-
person per
So
town?
this motion would be for the town of Bourne.
Well, I understand that, but I'm wondering is if there are constraints on what they're willing to give.
Anne
I think
Marie,
we
if
ask
you,
and hope for them to fund one person for Bourne and see how it goes.
Okay,
and Anne Marie, just add before we vote on this, just added to your charge for today is just ask what the other town's thoughts on using an individual under this, you know, what their thoughts on the $35,000 fee, you know, how they would use it, would they use this person as a
Mhm.
digital navigator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Mhm.
Brian, go
None
ahead.
other
Okay.
towns were on. None other Cape towns were on the call for this, so I don't know if they're even aware of the program.
Okay,
They may be
Okay.
after today.
yep, right. Okay, moving forward, all those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and no opposed, so it passes unanimously. Gap round 2. First of all, Brian's FOIA about requesting for the names of the winners of Gap round 1 was said, no winners yet, we're working on it. So that
Well,
means
no, I followed up because the bead release listed that they have awarded $500,000 to somebody. So I followed up saying, now that you have a winner and you've released that there is a winner, some money has been spent under BEAD, please provide the winners. So using their own information against them.
Okay, well, did they name somebody who got the $500,000?
I just said 0.5 of a million has been spent. I'm like, well, produce the winners. Thanks.
Okay, anyway.
But
So we'll see.
But they didn't tell you who it was? Is that what you're saying?
Well, they told me they couldn't tell me because they weren't awarded, but now that we have new information so sometimes records officers can't find stuff because they don't know it exists. But if you have a document stating something exists, even indirectly, you can sometimes send that in so that it makes it easier to find, because then they go, oh, who made this document? Okay, who put the 0.5 in there? Who has the source material? And then they can get it.
Right, okay. Well, regardless, that this is moving extremely slowly, so gap round 2 is still in limbo. So, once again, hurry up and wait. Residential retrofit, we have already discussed that, and we will see where that goes. If it'd be lovely if some pressure could be put on even Open Cape or somebody or Comcast to go ahead and do that. Anne Marie, do you expect Comcast to be in the room? If Open Cape is there, my guess Comcast might well be too.
I don't know if Open Cape and Comcast, I don't know if they invited ISPs as well. I'm not sure on that.
Okay. Anyway, obviously it'd be worthwhile querying whoever is there to see what they are doing in terms of our request to have our 4 low-income housing units or Bourne public housing units connected under the residential retrofit. You might get some other intelligence on that. Okay, the next item under old business is C, Public Outreach Opportunities Subcommittee. Again, I think the public outreach coming up immediately is going to be letting everybody know that the BEAD challenge is coming up and we need volunteers. We need people to volunteer to do the testing. So anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's important to get on the record that we're sending all our minutes as soon as we approve them to the cast of thousands who are interested in what the heck we're doing, and also to support the idea that we need their help from the legislative people and a number of other people that have expressed interest in having this. So I'm expanding my expanded email out list. I know they did ask, who asked for I think it was the legislative folks asked for copies of all the letters that we have either written ourselves and sent or dictated essentially to the select board to send regarding MBI, and they were very interested to have those.
Okay. Yep, they definitely are interested. To the extent we could, Wendy and I on the legislative meeting from the Chamber of Commerce on Friday morning just expressed our continuing frustration with the slowness and lack of communication from MBI. And other than nodding approval, I don't think we're going to have anybody charging forward to the head of the department. I can't remember the lady's name, but I don't know if we were just voices crying in the wilderness about this, but I'm sure they're getting other complaints.
Oh, they are. The guys that I talked to said, yeah, we were hearing this from all over the state, but this is really good. Thank you for the documentation. So every little bit helps.
Right. Okay. Any more on public outreach right now? Okay, let's see
Anne-Marie's
again.
got her hand up, and then I got a
Yeah, I'm sorry,
second
Anne-Marie.
topic. So
Go ahead.
That's
you
okay.
go
ahead,
ahead,
Anne.
Anne-Marie.
So we're going to really need to stress on the June 4th meeting that to advise the select board to move forward with the BEAD challenge. I mean, that's a big decision. That's a big, right?
Yeah.
So programmatically, we have to have some kind of outline of attack, which we do.
Right.
Um, and the purpose behind the challenge, right? So that's really going to have to be in the forefront of June 4th in order to move forward with the challenge. And
I
then
am,
obviously today, it's important conversation as well. And I have a feeling it's going to be a real big part of the conversation and strategizing with this digital equity plan as that funding resource, right? BEAD's going to be one of the biggest funding resources in order to accomplish what's in a digital equity plan. So strategizing for that today is really important. But also the town needs, the select board needs to prioritize it. And that's an important conversation June 4th as well.
right. I think by our next meeting, which is the 28th, I'll have a full set of slides, and presumably I'll be talking to you, Anne Marie, beforehand, and I'll get some feedback for that. Obviously, what we want to do is going to try to harmonize as much as possible with whatever the commission and the other towns are doing. To the extent, we're going to go with best practices for anybody who's got any brilliant ideas on how to do this efficiently, without confusing the public and scaring them off. That's the real part of it. But I think there will be, at the next meeting, there'll be a formal motion to approve what'll be a, kind of a one slide plan of how we, and it'll be us who does all the work, implements the digital equity plan. To the extent that perhaps some kind of a government server needs to be the place this stuff gets uploaded, then we might need some assistance from the town. But ideally, we'd like the Cape Cod Commission to serve as the portal that receives all of this information, so that offloads all of this from the towns. One-stop shopping. We don't even have to identify the town. They'll figure out from the address what the census block group in the town is, but we'll keep an eye on it as it goes in on the data.
Right, and regurgitate that to the individual's town, that data.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think you're absolutely right. Most of this work is going to be done without use of any town resources. So there's nothing but benefit and there's no downside to it. And I think we can do that, manage that fairly efficiently. I'm going to go to Brian. Go ahead.
So the other reason I think the commission's in a strong position here is because the other issue is the state has released a list of under and unserved parcels. It appears that they haven't correctly grabbed all of them from the FCC maps, and so given the commission's strength with mapping data, they're in a better position to handle some of that. Since right now, the only way to identify these is to literally scroll around the map from the FCC and try to catch them. So mapping is definitely an area the commission is strong at. There's also discrepancy because the CostQuest files list like 13,000 DSLs and the state's file says we only have like 9,500. So like that, like the data sets don't even match. So there's a lot of just very nitty gritty weeds mapping problems that the commission is stronger at. They have GIS people and experience with that. So that's another reason I think the commission would be, if they have the resources, the bandwidth, and the money to do this, would be in a stronger position. They have the experience with that type of data.
Anne Marie, I think you might start the process today, but either you or Marlene should request formal assistance with identifying discrepancies in these maps in Bourne and Cape Wide from the commission. Do we need to go to somebody like who is our rep on the Cape Cod Commission, Steve Mealy? Do we need to?
Yes.
Do we need to go through him? Okay, but if you want to talk, generally about the process with them, then we could do a formal request through Steve Mealy to get assistance in straightening out all of these data discrepancies. Again, we don't have any GIS capability in town that I know of. So it's gonna be somebody like, you know, David Still, knows this stuff intimately, who'd have to do it, but I'm just not familiar with how the town requests assistance from the Cape Cod Commission, and whether you have to pay for it or how that works.
I think it varies. They act as a consultant, right? So I'm not sure, the fee process, the fee schedule. I don't know the answer to that,
If
but I
they
can find out. I
remain,
certainly ask.
if they remain as our consultant on digital equity, you know, clearly these maps are crucial to digital equity and
Mhm.
identifying
Mhm.
discrepancies.
Mhm.
Should be part of the ongoing implementation, you know, and maybe they can back charge to this some fees to this grant that comes out later on, something like that.
Right.
A way to make them whole in case there's a charge. I just my fear is I don't want this to get tied up in a you know, we got to go and get the select board to approve a request to Steve Mealy to make a request to the Cape Cod Commission
Blah, blah, blah,
that
blah.
gets done in August. You see my concern.
Yes.
You know the process better than I do. But
Yes.
yeah, Brian, go ahead.
So there was one unexpected area of the challenge that we've never discussed, the community anchor institutions. The state released their list and they said there's only 3 community anchor institutions in Bourne. So the only good way I have to solve this problem is to put out a request on the Bourne Facebook page and basically crowdsource town residents to fill in the list. I've started to put together definitions, and it can even be a doctor's office with one doctor. It can even be like a nurse at a clinic. So if we get really creative with these community anchors and then submit a challenge, it's not a speed challenge, it's just a missing anchor challenge. So type C. I think we can move that list from 3 to like 50 or more. You know, if we crowdsource people in town. There were strange ones on there like clubhouses, and the state has like a formal definition of clubhouses for addiction recovery, but the definition might be, you might be able to push the edge on that one. There was a lot of room to get a lot of community buildings added to that list, and the CAIs are lower in the BEAD funding priority, but they do allow to go gigabit fiber, so you don't have to worry about these speed issues. Basically, Comcast doesn't meet the threshold if it's a community anchor. So that's
Okay.
another, good. I think we need to start crowdsourcing that. So we might need to formally have the SciTac say go ahead and start posting about this.
We
that might
can,
fall under.
this is, we can just do that. Okay. Again, that's an information request. Our job is to gather information. You know, put out a request. I can think of, you know, 10 within walking distance of my house here. So, I think we can very quickly put that together. You know,
I have it. I have a draft. If we need to like prove it to go to the news and things like that. So I'm not sure what the protocol is for that.
I'll send it over and I'll fix it up for you and we can start moving it out.
right. I mean, every church hall in the town hosts some kind of, you know, a 12-step program or all kinds of other programs that they do voluntarily. So, you know, all of those are community anchor institutions. Do they have the Wampanoag Meeting House on there? Probably not.
Oh,
Anyway.
there was some language saying they took extreme care to map the tribal facilities. Not a single Wampanoag facility was on the list, so no.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay. Well, again, I intend to come back with a draft at our next meeting in 2 weeks of the PowerPoint presentation. Again, it won't be a lot of slides, but I think you know, everything having to do with Anne Marie, if you've got a readout from you know, this the strategy session, I'll leave you to put some notes together on that, and I'll incorporate that. The other part of it again is going to be the bead challenge, and you know, just a roadmap of how that would be done. And I'll put up the timeline as you suggested that we first put up in February with all of the different opportunities that were coming up. And I'm going to go through that and just just modify that online. I'll animate that as things get crossed off, eliminated, dates get moved, etc., or question marks get put up. I can walk the committee through that very quickly. So that should just give an idea what the landscape is that gets us probably through the rest of this year. Okay, and again, I don't want to put in a whole lot of paper. If you want to do this as a detailed report of everything we've done, glad to do that, but I don't think they want to read that.
Well,
we're
we
gonna
have the last, you still have the slides from the last presentation, especially the ones at the end, the specifics to what we're advising the select board to do.
Yeah,
Any
that's-
deletions or additions, I think, would be valuable to send in the packet.
Well, that's exactly it. It'll be that original slide, and there's going to be an animation that gets presented where some of those get crossed off, some of those get modified, different color, whatever, date changes, all the other stuff, so they can see how this thing is morphing with time, because it's a multi-headed hydra that we're trying to contain here.
Gotta be mindful that we're gonna have a lot of work to do around this challenge. So we don't want to overdo any sort of presentation material that's not beyond the absolutely necessary, because we're going to be pretty stressed over the coming weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But there'll be one line about the American Connectivity Corps. There'll be one line about a potential for gap round 2 at some point, which we won't know by June 4th. Anyway, okay, moving forward. We're done with the select board presentation. Liaison with the Tech Council. Brian, why don't you take this? We had one discussion about the bead challenge yesterday at the Tech Council. Go ahead, Brian.
There was some discussion with the bead challenge, along with do they send a letter of support for Tilson's proposal, or Boundless proposal to Falmouth, and or the whole Cape, and do they send a letter of support to Bonfire? Whip City has not yet asked for a letter of support, so that also came up. I think we're going to do some more discussing. I know that them sending a letter could influence the winners of the grants, so they're discussing bifurcating this process. One, a general statement that they support any competition on the Cape for internet that improves service, and then a second possible discussion about what, if any, letter of support should be written, and whether it will impact favoring one or the other providers. So there's still a lot to sort out on that. They also thought it was a good idea to have a 30-minute weekly meeting, given that the challenge is going to have a lot. Everyone's running with around with a chicken with their head cut off. So we're all going to be gathering info. Someone's going to have a call with MBI. Everyone's going to have a little bit of information, and we're just going to need to have a weekly download to see who knows what. Since we're all underprepared with not enough time and not enough resources here.
Mm-hmm. One item that did come up, and Jed will cover this in a bit, is they pointed out that the 3 proposals that 2 of which they've gotten requests for letters of support. Just to review, the Boundless proposal is 100% private equity funded, with implementation in the whole Cape in 36 months, beginning in July. The Bonfire is a hybrid, which is a public-private partnership, and then Whip City, to the extent that Falmouth has seen it, is essentially a totally publicly funded process. And the Falmouth Net Board has agreed is spending some of their money on a review or a feasibility study by an outside consultant, CTC. And their objective is by August to come up with a feasibility study that compares the 3 and looks at least what the both Falmouth Net and the Municipal Light Plant have been trying to do. And clearly they're going to make that feasibility study, they're going to make that available to all of the other towns, including us, who would be at some point evaluating perhaps proposals coming from these three companies. So we'll get to that in a minute, but that was kind of the extent of it, and they wanted to make sure that anything that they put out was kind of agnostic and did not support one approach over another, other than providing more competition with more reliable and upgradable service over time. Is that a fair summary, Brian? Okay. The Mass Broadband Coalition has not met in the last couple of weeks, and Jed, I stole some of your thunder here on the other towns, but there was quite a bit of discussion from a couple of people on FalmouthNet about the merits of the feasibility study, the schedule, etc.
Yeah, so just to be clear, what the way they stated it is they call it a comparison study. And they're going to compare Whip City Fiber, Bonfire, and Boundless. And they're going to basically compare the three funding models. And as far as a date, they're not putting a date out there. They're just saying that, they're looking at August or September, but there's no deadline.
Mhm.
That's what it said in the meeting minutes.
Jed, I don't know much about this company. Who are they? CTC?
So
What do they-
CTC, they're pretty big. In fact, they're huge. I believe they're the ones who did they did something, I think, for the county. They did the feasibility study for the state of California that I think I sent out to everybody a while.
Oh, right.
Remember
yes.
that big document? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
CTC. They're pretty big. So, it seems like a good outfit to go to. I don't know much. I haven't read a whole lot of them, but I thought that California report was pretty good. The other thing going on, big thing going on in Falmouth is the election. So so David Eisenberg and Courtney Bird are running unopposed for a 2-year spot on the board. And then there's a open seat with nobody running for the 3-year one. But I thought I saw an article in the Falmouth Enterprise last week that somebody has put their name in as a write-in.
Right in.
And I think that there's a move afoot to get him on. It looks like he has a background in the industry, so that'll be good. And then the MLP has not been meeting. They had 2 or 3 meetings with Boundless in executive session. And there was a note in the last agenda that they had passed some questions on to the Falmouth town manager. But there's no plan that I can see. There's nothing on the select board agenda for Boundless. It doesn't seem to be coming out in public anytime soon.
Do you have any indication that they have gone ahead with their desire, I don't say plan, but desire to hire a telecom attorney to try to put some of the particulars together about an agreement?
I don't think they hired an attorney. I think they're using town council. That's what
Okay.
there was some mention of that in the minutes from I think the May 4th meeting, but it sounded to me like town council was just helping them out with an MOU. I don't think it's a contract. I think it's just an MOU that that Boundless is going to put together.
Yeah, I think they were trying to, Courtney Bird was talking about the need for a telecom lawyer because they wanted to talk about, a potential exit strategy at 5 years when some of the big VC money decides to cash out.
Yeah.
And
What-
I don't know where that.
Yeah, what I've heard comments from others that isn't a big deal.
Okay.
So I think that's a Courtney thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the other MLP members don't seem to be as concerned about that. Let me see what it said in here. There was something about no, they didn't talk specifically about how they would bring in the lawyers, but there was just it just kind of alluded to the fact that somebody was brought in and it sounded like it was town council or someone on the staff at town council. So,
Okay, but so effectively, they're still in the position that Boundless, since they're doing this all with their own cash, can just go and do it. Can just start applying for poll licenses and occasional locations of connectivity boxes on street corners and things like that,
Sure.
but nothing else.
yeah, this is what mystifies me because Verizon's doing the same thing in Bourne and they're just going and doing it. And in fact, they're not telling anybody anything. And there's no reason why Boundless, in fact, the town manager in Falmouth made this same comparison. There's no reason why Boundless can't go ahead and do the same thing. So
Yeah. Anne Marie?
Anne-Marie's got her hand up.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note, and maybe it might help clarify, Jed, for you. Any entity that wants to come into our town, it's real important to that company, private or otherwise, to have the support, right, of town leadership and the town before they make any move, because it's not worth spending the money if the town itself doesn't support what's coming into
I
it. So
see.
I think
I
that's
see.
why, this is the process that they're moving forward with.
I
And,
see. And
we have
Verizon-
a relationship with
I
Verizon.
get it. I get
We
it.
do.
Okay.
So, and they have been in communication and they do notify when, they might not get into any specifics, but there is some notification. My other question, and I don't know, Jed, if you know the answer to it, Hawkeye Electricity, are they working for Verizon? Do you know? Because they came up the street and started pulling up manholes and laying what looks like cable.
I never heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hawkeye's a huge company. They could do electric, they can do telecom. They could be doing either, actually.
Yeah.
Are they a contractor, Tony?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
So
makes
they're
a lot
like
of
a
sense.
Tilson. They're like
Okay.
a Tilson or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
could see that. I mean, Verizon doesn't necessarily have to use all their own people. So anyway, so those are the two things that going on in Falmouth. The election, I think I think it's next week. It's coming up soon.
Mhm.
And there are no plans for the MLP to meet at this point.
Okay. Very good. Okay, next agenda item I have is the Canal Chamber legislative session. Wendy and I, along with my wife, went on Friday, and again, to the extent that we can pigeonhole the individual legislators, they talked very broadly about mostly the stuff that they were talking about were the bridges and wastewater. And we had to try to get side discussions. I had side discussions with Senator Moran and also with Dylan Fernandez, and just had general complaints, crying in the wilderness again about the slowness and lack of response from MBI and how they completely ignored the way municipalities work in Massachusetts, at least small ones, towns as opposed to cities. And that in terms of doing this, getting approvals through a select board, we don't have a direct chain of command where a town manager can just just do it. It just made things extremely difficult for us. And I said, is there any way to get more resources to get to sit at MBI to deal with all of this? Because they're going to be overwhelmed if they get a bunch of challenges in. It could be a year before they are able to wade through it. And I said, this challenge process was a big pipeline for money. Brian, go ahead.
I believe I saw that was part of the consulting contract that the consultant was going to handle some of the workload for MBI on this. So.
Okay, God
Not our
bless.
workload, but their workload.
Okay. In any case, I just pointed out that this was a fire drill that didn't have to be a fire drill. If the agency had been resourced right from the get-go about this to deal with 200 towns, 200 municipalities, as opposed to some states where you have to deal with 20 counties. Anyway, I don't know what exactly they could do. I got nodding agreement, but who knows where that goes from there. They know we're aware of the issue. And any other suggestions? We've already given them letters about what we thought was going on that we had sent to the sent off to MBI before, as Wendy had described before. So I don't know where that can go. It's good to keep them in the loop. It's good to keep, especially Mark Lanigan, who's feeding stuff to Markey, to keep him in the loop. But I don't know what else at this point, given the short time frame we have for the available money, what else we can do to try to influence any of the big pictures in the process. Any suggestions?
Well, Dave Vieira is the one that's on the budget committee or whatever it is at the State House. And I noticed almost all his comments had to do with, well, actually, this is how this funding process works. And actually, this is where the money's coming from. And this is who we're talking to. And so if it's a money issue, he's just ready to jump up and bite it. So
Just pointing out that Falmouth Net, et cetera, got going with a very specific
Yes.
earmark that he put
Yes,
in for
that he
Falmouth.
put in.
No, it was Dylan
Oh, was
Fernandez.
it was Dylan?
Okay. Yeah,
Which-
and
He's
ahead.
going to be our senator soon.
Yes.
presumably, right? So we'll have some more influence, but it's not going to be something that we can affect any change in the immediate short term through the legislatures, other than to keep them informed and point out lessons learned as this process moves forward. Okay. If anybody else has any suggestions, we'll be glad to do that. But Wendy, if you just keep feeding stuff to them, I think that will work.
Oh, yeah,
Work out
I
well.
will.
Okay, we are to the end of the agenda. I just want to talk about the next meeting we're going to do in 2 weeks. There is likely going to be, as Brian said, a number of very short-term, quick turnaround calls for a couple of us with the Technology Council on things that are going to need to move quickly. But we can let people know when those exist, and as long as we don't have a quorum there, we can work those out.
So should we agree, Bob, that you and I and Brian attend those meetings?
I think we ought to continue doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody else thinks they need to be on board. Again, we may not all be able to do that. If these come up, that they're happening every week or something like that, they're going to try to do it to accommodate as many as possible. We'll just see how this goes forward. Again, everybody on the call is kind of complaining about the same thing: lack of resources, et cetera, and they're looking for models as best practices for bead challenge, et cetera. Okay, so this is
Yeah, I'm showing right now a draft agenda for May 30th.
right.
It's pretty much the same agenda. I just took one thing out, which was the commission report from the other night. I don't know if there's anything else we need to add in.
No. If we happen to hear, we can leave that digital equity. If we happen to get the plan back, we can drop that in and say, okay, here we've gotten the final draft for us to look at.
Yeah. Just these letter items are the only thing I post.
Right. You can eliminate the Canal Chamber legislative session.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see a need for anything else. Bead challenge is going to take a lot of time. The June 4th, I would leave SB presentation for June 4th. I'll have a draft of that, so we'll be going through that. Nope, that looks good to me. Anybody else have any additions or corrections on the draft agenda, our working agenda here? Once again, the one that we send off to Maria is just the main headings here. So a lot of the granular detail just doesn't show up there.
Yeah, I'll send the detail to the committee, and then I'll send the less detailed one to Maria.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. And Anne Marie, I'm going to send you the name and phone and email of the woman from Open Cape should you run into her.
Okay.
And other than that, at some point, Anne Marie, if if you when you get back for this meeting or during the meeting, if you need to get in touch with me, just send me a text if you have a question.
Okay, will
Okay.
do.
What time is
Sure.
your meeting
I
today?
think one of the other important things too is hopefully the outcome too of this is having some point of contacts across the Cape regionally as well.
Yeah, you were
Absolutely.
going to see if you could get contact names and emails and phones for all those folks. And I can put those on our distribution list.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. What
It
time is your
starts-
meeting today?
It starts at noon. It's down Cape. And it starts at noon.
Okay. Again, feel free if you need anything immediate. If it has to be something like minutes, contact Wendy. Anything else, just shoot me as a point of contact, and I'll find the appropriate person and get the answer back to you into the room.
Okay, super.
Okay,
I know there'll be some breakout groups according to the agenda, so.
so it's going to be you and MJ and Marlene.
Not
Is Marlene-
MJ,
Okay.
just myself from SB. And then I'm not sure definitively the other municipality staffs that are going. I just know
Yeah.
that there should be representation from like Library Council Nation and possibly the school department too.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, very good. Thank you all. We'll get this figured out. Hopefully we can get this this challenge to work. We'll all hang together or we should surely hang separately. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.
See you all later.
Bye.